So I wonder how they define non-public information. Because it sounds like an easy definition, but I'm sure it's not.
Well, anything that you wouldn't make public.
Again, it sounds like an easy definition.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax, HIPAA help is on the way.
Welcome to episode 356 of the Help Me with HIPAA podcast. My name is David Sims of HIPAA for MSPs. Joining me is Donna Grindle of Cardin. Welcome, Donna.
Glad to be here, David. I was just trying to figure out, was this really 356?
I hope so. That's what you have on the notes.
I know. And I'm like, wow. We just blew right by 355. That was a bad day for me, though.
I guess if it's the wrong number, we'll do 2 episodes of 356.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 356. That just goes to show you, how scattered things are for me right now, David.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back in the saddle this week.
Well, at least back in my normal desk.
Yep. Back in the cage.
That we don't know about. Next week I'll probably be recording from somewhere else in a closet somewhere.
Another undisclosed location near a body of water.
Yeah. That'll be it. Yeah.
Yep. So today we are going to be talking about some more things that we normally talk about and why everything that we've been saying for 356 episodes are coming to fruition in multiple ways.
That's right. And we didn't get any credit for just looking out there and going, hey, y'all, there's some cars going by and it's not looking good what they're going to do.
Yeah. There's a road here and I think there's more cars probably coming.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things happening in the PriceSec universe and some different laws that are coming down that have been passed. And we're going to talk about a couple of those.
Yeah. So all y'all who think you don't have to do HIPAA need to start worrying about what you have to do for HIPAA because these new laws starting to look like HIPAA.
Yeah. Look like it, sound like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not it. No, it throws the whole thing about if it looks like a duck, it throws that out the window because it does look like a duck.
But it's not a duck.
But it's not a duck.
Well, it is a duck. It's in the same pond. No.
Is that what it is?
Is it? But is it? I don't know. I can't, It's a law that has to do with privacy and security.
Yes.
In fact, a couple of them in 2 different
insurance
states.
Too.
And insurance. So, and it's based on a model law that's been published.
Yes.
So it's a long story, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, everybody help me with everything.
All right, we're going to end up changing the name of it to Help Me with PriceSec. I can already see it.
Yes, well, we just need to start working on that, don't we?
Help Me with HIPAA and things.
And all that other stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of privacy and security, we have the first ever privacy and security boot camp, or as we like to call it, the PriceSec boot camp, coming up in September.
Yeah. In beautiful downtown Louisville, Kentucky. But don't worry, it's a real boot camp. You won't get to see Kentucky anyway. We're going to bring it indoors in the meeting rooms, but we got a great agenda. By the time this comes out, it's going to be out on the website. I'm just certain of the details, not the overview that we've had out there so far, but more details so that you can really see how many cool and different things that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm real excited about it. And the instructors page will be out there so you can go see that it's not just me and David anymore.
Yeah, the hardest thing in the world is getting people to send pictures of themselves. That's the fun part of living in the privacy and security world. Is like, I'm not sending you my picture.
I know, right?
I was like, well, I didn't ask for your password, just your picture. I just need something for facial recognition purposes.
Yeah, there we go. We're going to do a deep fake, and then we'll make them all show up.
I had a picture recently where I was on the Capitol steps down in Columbia, South Carolina. And there's 50 people there on the steps. I'm the only one looking sideways.
Of course.
Probably because I was cracking a joke at somebody.
Of course.
And of course, they proceed to make fun of me because I'm the only one not looking at the camera. And I proceed to say, don't you know that facial recognition can pick that up? You never look directly at a camera. And then everybody's like, what? What, really?
Oh, that's so fun to be us and do that kind of stuff.
So then it went from me being the odd man out to everybody else feeling stupid for looking at the camera.
Of course you did that. Of course you did.
Yeah. So I can't believe y'all don't know that. You better go get some kind of protection on your credit cards and bank accounts. It'd probably hack by the time you get back home.
It's just torture to people. That's like when I do my presentations, I always start with here's how bad it is so that you need to pay attention to me. You know, what I'm going to tell you why you need to pay attention to me before I tell you what to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I always just stop. And I say, is that enough? Because I got more. When I get introduced that Donna, she's a great speaker. We're happy to hear she's got great information, but she will make you want to throw up. You're welcome. So, yes, that's our job, and we get to have fun with it every now and then, which would be awesome.
You're the kind of person that pushes somebody out into ongoing traffic and go, okay, now let's talk about why you never do that.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. But the PriceSec Bootcamp is at pricesecbootcamp.com, September 12, 13, 14, and 15. Go to the webpage for all the information that you need.
Yeah, the early bird pricing ends July 12th, so the clock's ticking on that. And if you're part of the Cardin Club or a HIPAA for MSP member, you get even better special pricing. So go check it out. Information is there. Let us know, folks. Let us know.
Yeah, that's right. Let us know.
Let us know. All righty then. Let's move along then, folks.
Let's do it. Let's jump into our HIPAA.
Say what?
Yeah.
Wait, that was a little safe. Did you turn the button off?
No. Yeah, I might have.
Say what?
That better? That better?
I don't know. We'll have to check into it later. I'm going to make you listen to it 3 or 4 times. But what does HIPAA say? Wait, what did you say? We might need to change it to HIPAA not say?
HIPAA say not?
That's true.
Yeah.
It does not say that. But, I like to share things when they come up in questions.
Mm-hmm.
So a social media post, this happens all the time. So we work with our clients to make sure that they have policies and procedures for social media. And a lot of people think, well, I just have to do that. No, there's layers that you have to have. You have to have, what if somebody posts something? What if somebody does this? What do you have to have on your social media page? Who's going to control your social media page? What if they say something negative? What if they say something positive? You have to do it a very specific way. And then you also have to deal with all of your employees, or even worse, disgruntled ex-employees or business partners. You got to be prepared to deal with all that stuff because things like this happen. So, for example, you have someone post a negative review about your business on a review site. Now, what do?
You respond back and you drop a bunch of explicits. You tell them to meet you out back at 5:00.
That's what's happened to some of those people that have ended up in cases on our OCR settlement board. But what we do is you develop very specific standard language. It does not vary from that. that just says, "So sorry to hear that. Please contact us directly at this number. We'd be happy to help." Something along those lines that you get used to. Boop, boom. You just paste that. Nothing else.
Or you're wrong. Call me.
Wrong. And you definitely don't ask questions. You don't we just had one, what was it? The dentist that went off on the patient and telling the patient, we did this and we did that. And then no, you don't do that. You just say standard language, cut and paste, no freestyle.
No freestyle.
Boom, boom. Now, should you call the person posting the message directly? Told you it's a rough day. Directly? No.
To cuss them out? Oh.
No. No. If they ask you to contact them, then you contact them, but you don't carry on a conversation about that online. And you certainly don't say, well, now I got to know what patient posted this. Because if they don't give you their name, you going on a quest, going through all the patient records is not for treatment. It's not for payment. And making it be healthcare operations argument is going to be very narrow.
Yeah.
I needed to know because blah, 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 blah. No, you didn't. There's you post your thing and you just got to let it go.
Or maybe the doctor walks in and says, "Hey, I need you to find out who this is."
And you say, "No, I cannot." So, and when some clients had this similar kind of scenario, they told them no, and then called to let us know that because they knew I'd be proud. And yes, I am proud. You know who you are. I am proud.
We are very proud.
Yeah, because no, you should not do that. That is not a proper use of patient information, is it?
'Tis not.
Yeah. I'll let you know if I want you to call me.
I'll let you know. I'll call you if I want you to call me.
Yeah. I'll do it later. Anyhow, there you go. That's your HIPAA Say What episode or segment of du jour.
Yeah.
The segment du jour.
We can roll into our now 405D tip of the week. We've been going through the practices on the 405D, and we are now under practice numero 4.
Really? Oh,
you like how I can speak different languages all at the same sentence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the ones you make up too.
Numero 4.
Cuatro. Char. Okay, so.
Yeah. I was doing something one day many years ago, and I was like, we're on numero 4. They were like, that's not what that means. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Done with my Spanish.
Yeah. I learned enough to get by when I need it.
Yeah, all you need to know is how to say, where's the bathroom? That's pretty much it.
Me gusta la cerveza.
Yeah, well, that too.
Baños de damas, por favor.
I can tell you that you've had too much to drink to be driving. I can tell you're under arrest, and I can ask where the bathroom is.
There you go. Those are not what I normally worry about using in Mexico, and that's where I usually go to speak Spanish. So, back to our 405D tip of the week. They'll love that detour in the middle of it if anybody's listening. Data protection and loss prevention. Sure, we can tie that into our failure to speak Spanish. So, for small organizations, instill proper procedures for data protection throughout your organization. This is like policies and procedures that say, this is our sensitive data. Because it's not just, how many times have we said it over and over? It's not just what's in the EHR. And you want to make sure that you protect confidentiality, integrity, and availability with your policies and procedures to make sure that don't happen. And then, of course, education, training.
Yeah.
And finally, prohibit. And what does prohibit mean?
Means ain't gonna do it.
No exceptions, not happening, can't be done. Prohibit the use of unencrypted storage such as thumb drives, mobile phones, or computers, requiring encryption of these mobile storage mediums before they get data on them.
I agree.
I mean, just start there. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Now,
I was at my local hospital last week and they were doing a presentation and the lady plugged in a USB drive. And it came up and asked for a BitLocker password. I was so impressed.
There you go. So, all right, now you handle what the medium and large organization, because there's a lot more to say there.
Oh, thank you. So
You're welcome.
they have to use a classification structure for all the data. Now that in and of itself can make your head roll.
Yeah, but we recommend that you do that because it helps you think through your data.
It does. It does. And now some of the labels they can use would be like highly sensitive, internal, public, there's whatever you want to use, but you need to build a classification scheme and a labeling scheme on what that data is. And that'll help you when you start looking at what to protect and how to protect it. Next one, incorporate backup strategies. And you also want to look at mission critical assets in your environment.
Yes.
So backups can be executed using a bunch of different kind of methods. You got disk to tape and disk to disk and disk to cloud. So, even though tape should be dead, it's not.
Legacy systems.
Yeah. The thing about backups is you really, really, really need to know about your backups.
Know what's on them now and know what stage you're at, But that's a whole nother conversation.
Whole nother conversation. But certainly you need to know where your backups are going. You'd be surprised how many people don't know. We got backups, we just don't know where they are. Somebody said we had them. Establish data loss prevention systems. Some people call them DLP.
Yep.
But DLP systems should be implemented to ensure that sensitive data is used in compliance with standard data policies, and advanced DLP systems that include cloud storage, on-site file storage, web-based scanning, all those types of things. So that's what the medium and large organizations need to do, in addition to what the small organizations are doing.
And when you get into that DLP, and I know some people will have systems where it'll go, sorry, that's got data that we can't send. Or that's not allowed to be there. That's what DLP is all about. It's trying to stop you before it happens.
Right.
Good luck with that. All righty then. So, are we ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get excited when you go through these, don't you?
I love them. So we've got two different states that, and of course, the state of confusion is not one of them, but two different states that have enacted some insurance data security laws recently. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So this privacy law blog, they cover a lot of different stuff. Privacy and information security law blog, huntingprivacyblog.com. They have some great stuff, and they did a great job of summarizing how these two different state laws are utilizing legislation that is based on a recommendation. I think, oh my God, maybe a year or so, maybe 2 years ago, we were in discussions about the National Association of Insurance Commissioners released an insurance data security model law. So they're saying, look, we know the laws are coming. This is what we think should be what the law looks like, in hopes of standardizing it and limiting some of the crazy stuff that happens when you start, going down their own path, which I think is smart. And so there is basically the same kind of stuff in the law that these have been signed. They're not just talking about them. This is Kentucky House Bill 474 signed into law, and Maryland Senate Bill 207 was signed into law. And they established some really, I don't know, David, did they feel familiar in your reading some of the things in there?
Yeah, like I said, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, but it ain't a duck. Yeah, there's a lot of HIPAA-esque. There you go, HIPAA-esque.
There you go. So just as an example, the language that the Connecticut law summary of the language says establishing certain cybersecurity standards applicable to insurance carriers, including health maintenance organizations. I'm sorry, this is the Maryland one, including, I don't know why I put Connecticut there. Look, David, it's me.
Yeah,
Including,
that's, next week, Kentucky will come out with it. Connecticut, and you'll be like, hey, look.
I think Connecticut did another one. Anyway, so in Maryland,
they're close.
East Coast. Okay. So including health maintenance organizations and third-party administrators, requiring a carrier to take certain actions related to cybersecurity, including developing, implementing, maintaining a written information security program, identifying certain threats, establishing certain incident response plan, and applying certain requirements related to cybersecurity to managed care organizations, etc. And they got some interesting, like little things in there that all of you need to pay attention to, because this is where we have to go. It's just it's a free for all. Otherwise, it's always like, well, we don't want more regulations. Okay, but when we had them and they were like optional, voluntary, no one did it. That's why we are where we are today.
Yep. And if you're not in Maryland or Kentucky, you should still listen.
Yeah.
Because it's coming to a theater near you.
Well, and it's possible you could be a service provider for an insurance carrier in Maryland or Kentucky. And it's already coming knock, knock, knock on your door.
Yep.
Regardless of your state. But my particular call out on the Maryland law, and they've both started throwing these things in here. And I think this is interesting because we have clients that I've been meeting with who are building their own internal things built on SharePoint. And there are tools that you can do this with. Most organizations have access to it. And you don't have to be a high-end software developer anymore to build applications that are used internally. There's a lot of ways to do it. And they make a point of saying adoption of secure development practices for in-house developed applications used by the carrier and procedures for evaluating, assessing, or testing the security of externally developed applications used by the carrier. So it doesn't matter. So all you people that are like, all you got to do is use this, you better have a procedure for evaluating, assessing, or testing the security of it. That's got to happen. So the fact that they're being very specific in the law about you must evaluate the security of anything you do internally as well as purchase externally. And then Kentucky's law had very, very specific requirements listed for their written incident response plan designed to promptly respond to and recover from any cybersecurity event that compromises the confidentiality, integrity, availability of non-public information in its possession. Okay, so if you have it, the minute you receive it, you must protect it. So, the CIA, as we say, the cremate and all of that kind of stuff, your information systems and the continuing functionality of any aspect of the business or operation.
So I wonder how they define non-public information. Because it sounds like an easy definition, but I'm sure it's not.
Well, anything that you wouldn't make public.
Again, it sounds like an easy definition. But you know an attorney's going to say that. Like, what's the definition of non-public?
Well, they have the carve out for if it is a encrypted first. But they do have the definition in the law that says electronic information that is not publicly available.
Okay.
But it does say it shall include business-related information of a licensee that, if tampered with or disclosed, accessed, or used without authorization, would cause a material adverse impact to the business, operations, or security of the company.
I wonder how they define material adverse effect.
That will be argued in court, I am sure. And then any confidential personal identifying information of a consumer, including, all of your standard things, the Social Security number, personal identification card or license number, financial, credit card, security code, access code, or password to their financial accounts, biometric records, so Face ID, retinal scan, fingerprint, ear print, lots of things. Any information or data except age or gender in any form or medium created by or derived from a healthcare provider or a consumer. So if the consumer gives it to you or a healthcare provider gives it to you, has to be protected the same way. The past, present, or future physical, mental, or behavioral health or condition of any consumer or member of the consumer's family. The provision of health care to any consumer or payment for the provision of health care to any consumer. So they're doing a deep dive. And the thing is that we've always talked about, just because you provide care or health insurance does not mean you're covered under HIPAA.
Right.
This is not making that carve out either way. So they do say what publicly available information is, and that is that you have a reasonable basis to believe it's lawfully made available to the general public from federal, state, or local government, widely distributed media, meaning it's already in the news, disclosure to the general public that are required to be made by federal, state, or local law. So you can see there are very specifics, but it's fairly broad. So I'm going to go through the second part of the Kentucky specifics about the incident response plan when we get down to that section.
Yeah, it's interesting that they don't use the typical phrase like personally identifiable information.
Right. Yeah, because that's already used in a big thing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. But there, and we're going to get to this in just a minute, but while I'm in the section of it, third-party service providers are involved in this, and it means a person, so independent contractors, hello, other than a licensee that contracts with the licensee, and they say licensee because you have to have an insurance carrier license in the state, contracts with the licensee to maintain, process, or store non-public information, or, here's one that's important, is otherwise permitted access to non-public information through its provision of services. So we always say, I don't care if you say you're not going to do anything with the data. The fact that you have access to the data is what matters.
Yep.
Because these things aren't in place assuming everything was going to go right. We wouldn't need them if everything went right. So there you go. Those are the, that's the Kentucky, and it's very similar language in the Maryland. And for this case, I mean, personal cybersecurity concerns are really what it's all about. So all of those other pieces, and another thing in here is, we always say what takes precedence when it comes to deciding which law to follow. And the answer has always been which one gives the patient more rights. I learned that from my friend Emily, the law person, and whatever gives the patient more rights. Okay, well, guess what? There's some stuff in here that's stricter than HIPAA.
Wow.
Like the making sure you secure internal applications and have a plan for it. That's more strict than HIPAA. So guess what, everybody? I'm just saying, you're going to have to start paying attention.
They need to update HIPAA.
On that. Well, there's that. But, that's so convoluted and so complicated. But the fact that these laws are being recommended across the country, it is a standard, and it is above and beyond HIPAA, which is, why we say, let's get into the recognized security practices world. A lot of this does that. So going back to the article, and they do a really good summary of kind of across the two laws. Guess what, David? They're required to have a risk management program. Golly.
No way. I just can't imagine.
I know. It's like, what?
Such a novel idea.
Conduct a risk assessment and have a risk management plan.
What?
I know. And that it should be comprehensive written information security program based on that risk assessment and risk management plan.
Man.
Written, David.
I'm sure there'll be some kind of seal for it.
Everybody be slapping it on something.
Slap it on your website.
There you go. But the big thing that is important is a written information security program. Written. Don't just say you're doing it. Prove you're doing it. And what do we say to that? You got to prove it. You got to prove it. So David does the head bob. That's why I have to have it. So, yeah. But when we say it's a formal cybersecurity program, right? A formal, and people will say, what is that? Okay. It means you can prove you're doing it, and that you sat down, you thought about it, you looked at what do you need to secure, what do you secure it from, and how are you going to do it? That's a formal program where you wrote all that down. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
I do like it.
Probably important to know that you can't do the risk management plan until you first do the risk assessment. It shocks me how many times people say, we have a comprehensive risk management plan. I'm like, cool, where's your risk assessment? Oh, we haven't done one of those. And well, how did you do a plan?
Yeah, we're just assuming.
Yeah, no.
We ran a scan. We bought
that. We bought the template.
Yeah, I mean, this is, we're all growing up now. Everybody's got to grow up now. We're playing in the big boy field with the big boy teams, because the criminals, they're growing up. They're building. I mean, we just saw, there's just an article out about how they're working with each other, sharing information and coding techniques. Mm-hmm. The different gangs. And every so many months, they quit using that name and rebrand or disappear and reform new gangs. All of that information is being shared. They're documenting it and sharing it with each other.
Yeah, they follow frameworks.
Mm-hmm. Not ones we know. Well, I don't know. They might. Because, they have to have a disaster recovery plan, too. Their disaster, though, is not, hey, the criminals attack. Well, criminals do attack each other. But their disaster is, we're getting busted by law enforcement. Okay, so But the important part, the programs must include specific data security safeguards, requirements for secure development practices, and a cybersecurity incident response plan. Wow.
Yep.
And they need to stay informed of emerging threats and vulnerabilities and use reasonable security measures when sharing information. I mean, I love the way this guy's just like laid it all out, summarized it. Yeah. Appreciate you. But I got all excited. I'll have to admit it. And you know, if Eric Decker listens to this one, he'll know I did that on his behalf when I saw address cybersecurity risk and relevant enterprise risk management processes. He's always the ERM guy. And how many times do we say this is business risk management?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a risk management program that's required. But what else do they have to have, David, that we were not shocked to see?
I just couldn't believe it that they have to have cybersecurity awareness training for personnel.
Really?
I mean, yeah. And it doesn't say annual.
Yeah, somewhere in there, it does mention it needs to be ongoing on something. I don't remember where I saw it, but so yeah, just continuing to do the training. And on our risk management plan, we're worried about phishing, but we don't do any phishing testing or phishing training.
Yeah.
No. And then
or like the person told me, I'm worried about ransomware, but I'm not worried about phishing. It's like, okay, you clearly don't know how this stuff works.
Yes, indeed. It would be one of those things where you go back and question that first statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So when they go past the training, this is one piece that maybe we will be able to get managed service providers and other providers to understand that you are, when it says obligate service providers to implement and maintain appropriate data security measures, that means their own. Not just ours, but your own. And by saying obligate service providers and in your name of your business or type, you are a managed service provider, one would think there would be no further questions on whether or not managed service providers would fall under this rule.
That's why I'm changing to a managed non-service provider.
You're a managed security punk is what you are. That's
I like that. I think I'll start using that.
Hey, there you go. But this is just reiterating supply chain.
Yep.
And there's language in both laws that are very specific about making sure that if you're doing business with somebody, you're requiring them to do the work too, that you're going to perform due diligence.
So you mean to tell me that I can't just say, don't worry, I got this?
Well, you can. But your client shouldn't
trust me, Donna.
Shouldn't take that. Nah. No.
What about this one then? If I can't use that one, how about that is proprietary business information? I cannot give you that.
That makes me want to poke an eye out right there. Just every time I hear it. No, I want to. When they tell me
what about this?
What?
What if I give you 400 pages of documentation that makes no sense whatsoever?
No. Don't just print out all the tickets you've handled in the last year. Not helpful. I need cybersecurity information. I need to know that it reflects the risk identified in your risk analysis.
Well, would you think that, potentially the customer might say, where is your risk management plan?
That's what they're supposed to do, according to this.
Where's your instant response plan? Where's your assessment? Now, I also say be careful. You don't necessarily want to just hand out all the information of the bad things you found so that somebody else could potentially use that against you. But you certainly need to figure out what you're going to be able to hand over and how you're going to address that. But you first got to get people to actually ask about it too. So we're still in that path of, look, you've got to do your own, but you've also got to ask people in your downstream that, hey, I need to understand what you're doing.
Yeah, and you got to remember that this isn't just the normal. I've actually had the case where I'm like, well, we're going to, we have to have that documented. Well, I'm the cybersecurity expert, and I think it's just fine the way it is. Okay? Go be that. I'm the governance expert, and it's not.
Yeah. I like the one where you spit out the vulnerability assessment, and the MSP says, I need to talk to the person who ran this assessment.
This takes too much time for me to resolve. Nobody wants to pay me to do this. Yeah, we hear enough of that, don't we?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's if you're a service provider, period, a service provider, and you have access to information, you need to pay attention to this stuff and start crossing your T's and dotting your I's and getting your own documentation in place. Right? I think we've made that statement. Might need to do it again. But here's another one I really like, because I've been doing in all of my training classes the last year, 6 months, the sessions I've been doing, I have been encouraging when I'm talking with management that they should be on the agenda on a regular basis, reporting to the ownership, the leadership, the board of directors, whatever. And this law requires it.
How about that?
I'll be. And if you have a board of directors, you're supposed to do it. And I think they say at a minimum annually. And if that's all you're going to do, then we know you're checking the box.
Yep.
Because you can't make it part of your enterprise risk management program and only look at this annually. But you should be reviewing the risk assessments, the risk management plan, what controls are in place, where do we have testing, how many events have occurred, do we need to make some changes, or is what we're doing working? I love that part. Well, we have all of those. Okay, well, are they working? I guess. But do you know?
I assume they're working.
We know about assume. So I was really happy to see that being in the actual past law.
Mm-hmm.
And this one would give most people that live under the, what do you call it? Hipposphere,
yeah.
Hipposphere. They have to submit every year. They have to submit to the insurance commissioner of the state a certification saying we are complying with this.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, MSPs. There's your another revenue stream.
Yeah. Every single year. And so we're Kentucky's, this is Kentucky's, by February 15th of each year, submit to the commissioner a written statement certifying that you are in compliance with this law, and maintain for examination by the department all records, schedules, and data supporting the certification submitted of this paragraph for a period of 5 years. There you go. So all that documentation. Sound familiar?
Yeah. Yep. Sounds like Cardin's going to be even busier.
I'm glad I'm building systems so it doesn't require me. You know, the fact that it needs to be written, you need to maintain the documentation. I need to know 4 years from now where we were today. I don't need to say, well, David said we were okay. That's the one. IT can get you that report. Well, can they get me that same report 4 years from now?
Yeah.
I don't know, David. Could you give me a report of all of the clients you had 4 years ago, what their antivirus status was, and all of the assets they had on their systems at that time?
I can, yes, because I keep all the reports every month when I get them all.
Right, because
but can I go into my systems and ask?
Yeah, you can't get it from your systems.
Yeah,
right?
I doubt I can go that far back in my systems, but I do keep records. Matter of fact, I was looking through some things earlier this week to try to free up some space on my cloud storage, and I ran across some reports back in 2014, some client reporting and stuff, and I was like, nope, can't get rid of that.
That sounds about the time we started. Oh yeah, we were really starting to work together. I was teaching you about documentation.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I got it.
There you go. That's when you were complaining to me all the time.
I still do.
You still complain just about different things.
That'll never stop.
So you're welcome. But that doesn't mean you need to keep data forever. Once the time frame is over, you can get rid of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even add a year if you need to, or if something's still open, that's one thing. But don't keep things for 20, 30 years, please.
Yeah,
Please.
Especially if it's data you need to protect. Now, if it's just data, like, if I'm keeping a report, that's one thing. If it's PHI and it's something I need to protect, now I've just got more risk out there.
Yeah, well, as sure as I think that report doesn't matter, 3 years from now it will.
Yeah.
6 years from now, I'll be in trouble because of it.
Yeah.
Now, 86 said, I don't need it no more.
That's right.
But maintaining all that information and submitting the annual statement saying I am doing this. So guess what happens if you're caught not doing it? You just committed fraud. Oh, that hurt in so many other places. And then, of course, this one will really hurt. This one will hurt all those people that don't like that they have 60 days that they have to notify patients. Now, if it's less than 500, you don't have to notify HHS until the end of the year, right? You got 60 days after the end of the year. Well, guess what? Up in here, we ain't playing that.
Uh-oh.
Report certain cybersecurity incidents to the state within 3 business days of a determination that the incident has occurred.
Ooh.
You know how much hair splitting is going to be going on by those lawyers trying to figure out how many were business days? Do we count business days of days that we were doing business or that our IT people were doing business? Was it a state holiday versus a federal?
Once we realized there was an incident, we shut down, and therefore the business days stopped. After 2 months, we opened back up, and then we reported. So it was only one business day.
Yeah. So we've got that, right? There's going to be a lot of that happening. We already know it. We already see it now.
Or explain to me what certain cybersecurity incidents are.
Oh, well, we know we can go through that and dig a big hole.
But yeah, I mean, overall though, this is a game changer for the insurance agents.
Well, here's the thing is that if you aren't doing these things and you touch healthcare in any way, just touch it. You need to start doing these things. All of you that say HIPAA doesn't apply to me, and all of you who are checking the box of compliance and doing the bare minimum, you better wake up because this is more strict than HIPAA in several ways.
Yeah. Or how about the ones that are, I'm staying away from healthcare. I don't want to deal with HIPAA.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you might get away from that, but you ain't getting away from everything.
I know. Eventually, you're going to have to do all this stuff. So why not come to the PriceTech Boot Camp, learn how to do it now? How about that?
Yeah.
That's a great way to bring it around, wasn't it, David?
That's right.
All right.
Embrace it. Just embrace it.
Just hug it.
Yeah. Just let's hug it out. Just hug it out. Stop running. Let's just hug.
But please do note, these take effect fairly quickly. Like, technically, insurance carriers in Maryland have until October the 1st, 2023 to get all the written stuff done. And then the service provider oversight, they have until 2024, but all the other stuff, 2022, October 1st.
Woo.
And Kentucky is January 1st, 2023, but they do have the 1 year grace period and the 2 year grace period, those kind of things. So y'all don't need to be playing around.
So what about Connecticut?
And we're done.
All right, folks. That's our show for today. Thanks for listening. Remember to share us out on your favorite social media site. And remember, for Donna and myself, HIPAA's not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.